Yeah, Coach. When it comes to evaluating Miami, last 2 weeks ago they had 8 turnovers. Last week, no touchdowns and 4 overtimes, and then QB uncertainty. So, how do you evaluate them? Like, do you watch past games, or how do you go and evaluate them to get ready for this one?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the total package of their season, and obviously they've had quarterback was hurt, and it's been something that anytime a quarterback goes down, it's a challenge. But there's a very talented football team. I mean, and with Van Dyke, we're expecting him to play this week. We're going to go through and obviously we'll have a plan for Garcia and for him. Just 2 guys that are very talented. Van Dyke's one of the top quarterbacks in the country, and they've got weapons, and this is a team. I mean, this is a talented football team we're playing. They were the preseason pick to win the division, and that wasn't just because of hope for it. I mean, this is a team that we know the ability that they have. It can be a very explosive offense. Just like anybody, if there's mistakes that show up, I mean, it's going to hurt them. And in the Duke game, it was tough. You turned the ball over 8 times. It's hard to have much success. And they're going to address that. They're going to continue to go. And I mean, I know yesterday, or I guess it was Saturday's game, new starting quarterback, some things you work through in that, but they found a way to win the game, and to do that on the road, I mean, you respect that, and ultimately, we've got to continue to focus on us. I mean, we watch everything from this year. You study the personnel from last year, guys that have come from different places, just to try to get as much information as possible. But I mean, this is a talented team.
You spoke earlier on Miami's defense and said they were dominant against Virginia. What do they do so well, and who are a couple of guys that kind of get your eye?
Yeah, I mean, I think for them it starts up front. I mean, they've got a big, strong, athletic defensive front. I mean, they play a good number of guys. They've 7 or 8 defensive linemen. They roll them good. They keep them fresh. Those guys are very active. They create the negative play. Definitely be a challenge for us, up front. You look at them in the defensive backfield. I mean, they got great length. I mean, guys that have really good experience, and do a good job of getting hands on receivers, trying to disrupt timing. They're aggressive in how they play, and then their linebackers have been active this year, and those guys can run around, and obviously they've got some newcomers that have joined the program on the defensive side of the ball that have made a really good impact, and this is like I said, it's a talented defense that has pretty good depth.
What did you see the win over Miami do for you guys last year as a program, and how have you guys kind of grown since that moment, you think?
Yeah, I mean, that was a big game for us a year ago. I mean, it was going in the game, we were we had a challenging start, and really, we're kind of coming into our own. But we needed that type of game. We just come off of a challenging stretch, but I mean, we had seen some good, we'd seen some bad, and that rivalry game and just the emotion and all the things that went into it, to see our guys overcome in a game that had swings in it, and we started really well. Miami made their comeback and took the lead, and then our guys were able to respond there at the end, and it was big for this football team. I think it was a confidence builder. It had been a few challenging years before, and we know the importance of this game, and there's everybody in this program. And this is a game you'll remember the rest of your life. And the preparation of it didn't begin just yesterday. I mean, this is a year-long preparation for this game. And there's only 2 teams that I talk about in our very first team meeting, and this is one of them. And understanding the things that are necessary to be ready when this week gets here, what you need to do from day one to now, and it's that continued growth, that continued development. And now this week we've got to have our best week in our preparation, and all things being ready to go on the road and go play our best game.
We'll go to the back right corner for Aslan.
In that same vein, Coach, I know the game is ultimately between the 2 teams that are on the field, but their coach is on a first year of a rebuild. He's trying to prove to his fan base and his constituents that he's the right man, and you're also in the year 3 of the rebuild and kind of proving yourself as well. And there's just so much riding on this game. How do you kind of process the opportunity and just what this game can mean for you, and just displaying, and it's also recruiting heads up, and you're trying to also convince kids off the field as well.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a big game. It's a big game because it's this game, and every year, it doesn't matter what's happened up till that point. I mean, this is a game that you want to win, and you want to go out and you want to play your best. And I think that there's a lot of excitement around our program for what we've shown and where in the path of where we're going, and that's something that that doesn't. It doesn't all point to one game, but it does. You've got to be able to continue to show those steps, and I think our guys have done that. We're excited for the opportunity to compete in this one, and really for what they're doing and what their their process. That's for them. I care about what we're doing and the steps that of what we're investing in all aspects to be the best we can be, and but I promise you, we're going to put everything we have into this to go be our best this week, because it is a huge game for not only this team, for our fan base, and for everything that this game deserves for the great rivalry that it is.
Coach, looking at Kevin Seal's history, he's a guy that's run a 3-4, a 4-3. I think there was a game you ran a 3-1-7 one time. I know there are multiple, but is that a defense that declares early pre-snap, or is that going to be one of the more free-moving defense that you guys are going to have maybe trouble identifying pre-snap?
Yeah, that's always the defense of, defenses evolve. And Coach Steele's been in the game for a long time, has done an excellent job, known as an elite D coordinator. So he evolves with not only his personnel, but also things that give offenses trouble. If he sees something giving you trouble, he knows how to, present that to you again and make sure you've corrected it. Now, he has some fail-safe things he goes to, whether you're giving up big runs and things like that. But overall, he adjusts to the scheme. He keeps up with the times, and those guys play fast without question. So that's why he's had a lot of success on defense. But he does a good job. But as far as declaring early, like most D coordinators, they know how to. They know what they want you to see, and they know how you declare it. And it's whether they want you to declare it early or they don't. He does a good job of dictating that. So it will be a game where we'll have to be focused and understand there'll be some changes post-snap and post-ID.
When you watch Miami this week, get prepared for them, how much you take from film, the last 2 weeks, because they, the last 2 weeks, 8 turnovers, no touchdowns. Their starting quarterback got hurt against Duke, was out last week. So how much you take from that film, and how much you watch from last year? How much you watch? What's the preparation for Miami this week look like for film site?
Yeah, well, with the change of staff and play caller, a lot of the film goes towards this year, and some of it goes towards that staff and the play callers from past years. Anything that would have come from our game last year against them was purely personnel study. Just our guys against their guys. But from a scheme standpoint, it's all this year's film on Saturday.
Adam, we hear about, Coach Norvell talked about preparing as if Van Dyke's going to play. You have to, I guess, because you don't know. But what does that even entail? Because is their offense different when he's behind center as opposed to what Garcia is? And this week you didn't know if Sims was going to play, so I guess you're kind of used to this. Yeah. And when Sims doesn't play, does it feel like, well, I guess we just wasted some hours preparing for nothing? And
yeah. So
how do you do that? How do you communicate it to the players? This is what we expect if he's playing. This is what we expect if the other player's playing.
Yeah, a bunch there, Corey. No, you're good. That was good. I like how you said, isn't it for if you put the work in and it doesn't show up, but that's our profession. You could plan for this formation when this happens and it doesn't show up. And then you make a decision, all right, do we carry this over the next week or do we just do away with it? And that's sometimes when you install calls, you want to make sure that you're using those week to week so the kids understand how important it is to prepare, even though it's different that you're going to use it. But with the quarterbacks, you always have to prepare for all of it. Last week was last week. This week is a little bit different. I don't say some coordinators are very specific to personnel, and so the offense will change. Sometimes just the skill set of the player will change what the result of the plays look like. You know what I mean? The ball will go. Some quarterbacks, one-on-one throws, they have a certain relationship with receivers, and the ball's going to come out the hands. Some kids are really conservative. Some guys in the zone read game will constantly pull it. Some guys only pull in the red zone. Some guys, if you give them one read, they'll go by the book. And so I think when we're preparing for different people, number one, you have to prepare for all of them, because if it happens, that's what you needed to prepare for. But in this case, this week, really they play 3 guys. If Van Dyke plays, we know who he is, but what is he this year with this offense and with this play caller? We know what 13 is with Garcia because he started last week. We know what the Brown kid 11 is because they use him in roles. So, yes, I mean, you're going to have – and then when you come to your players, we sit down on Tuesday morning, and I'll go through every position. And these are the guys that are playing. These are the guys that are injured. This could be probable. If he plays, this is how we're going to treat this guy. This is how we're going to treat that guy. And so I think you're very matter of fact, and you tell your players, listen, we don't control how it's going to look, but if they show up, this is what it's going to be. And so, because I don't think you ever want to leave your players to speculate, right? Because we all go crazy. So I just tell them exactly what I think and what I know and trust myself about the facts, and then give them that type of story.